So welcome to our online class about babies and kids and how to use these essential oils that we have, these little bottles of magic that you have in your hands, and how to use them in so many ways that you feel comfortable and confident. You guys, I want you to ask me your questions at the end, please. And sorry, I just want to tell someone's asking me for a link quick. I'm just going to send that out and then I'm not going to be distracted by this. Okay, sorry about that. Alrighty, so anyway, I have tons of tips. I'm actually really excited. And so without further ado, let's get cracking. I am feeling very much today how most of you are probably feeling as new moms that are on here. Those who are not new moms, you probably have kids or you've come today to learn how you can help others with babies or kids. The reason I said that I'm feeling very much like a new mom at the moment is because I am pretty tired. We had a time change happen here over the weekend and it's kind of messed up everything. This always happens. We have like a few days of jet lag. So lucky for me, my kids actually do sleep really well. I have two. And for those of you who maybe don't know me, I should probably back up for a quick second. I'm Jade Elmaleh, and I've been using and working with essential oils for 4 years. And the reason that I got into using essential oils is that my 16-month-old at the time, Sage, who is now 4.5, she got these fevers, these temperatures, and she had them for 10 days. And no one could really figure out why. We did all the things to check, if it's anything that we're just not seeing in the naked eye. And everything came back negative. But it resulted in me wanting to learn more and to understand more about how I could take charge of my children's health as best as I could, and how I could try something different. So I remembered a friend who was, doing essential oils, reached out to her, and she taught me everything that I know, as well as me now learning a lot more through other groups and such. But anyway, Stacy Melkus, who is the co-founder of Hello Essentials, which is our team. So I reached out to her, I let her know what I was dealing with. And she said, you definitely want to get your hands on the starter kit because as a new family, you are going to use all of these oils that are in there. And she was absolutely correct. We used all of those oils, and I actually bought the starter kit a second time for my family because we used all of those oils. So I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of history. And the bottom line is that I learned what to do and how to use it for my 16-month-old at the time. And this absolutely worked for us. It's 1 drop of peppermint essential oil in a carrier, in a roller bottle. I cannot believe I don't have a roller bottle in front of me to show you guys, which I need to grab. But if someone has one that you can lift up and just show us, that's awesome. That'll just save me running around like a chicken with my head cut off. 1 drop of peppermint essential oil, thank you. So Del Rey is showing you the size of a 10 ml roller. So I put 1 drop of peppermint oil inside that and filled the rest with carrier oil. Carrier oil is going to be any kind of oil that we are using that most of us find in our kitchen. These are things like avocado oil, grapeseed oil. Our favorite one to use for most things is MCT oil that you can find in Dischem, Clicks, all of these places. Try and choose one that's organic. And we fill up that roller bottle with that, and then we can use these oils topically. So I will go through this that you understand. Anyhow, my story is that I learned how to use that, and I did. And my little girl has never had to use any drugs since then. So we don't use things like the Panados, Nurofens, all the rest of it, which is what we had to use at the time because I was told that anytime she gets a temperature, because she's had a febrile seizure, I will have to put her on medicine to bring that fever down because the chances of her having another seizure are really high. So you can imagine how excited I felt when I used just this 1 drop of peppermint, with the carrier oil down her spine and around her belly. And that has been the thing. We have never had another febrile seizure in this house, thank goodness. And we have never had any other issues. Instead, we have only found that we are much healthier, and I feel much more empowered. And now I have my kids coming to me, telling me things like, oh, mommy, my tummy hurts. Where's my tummy roller? So they know what their body needs and how to use the oils themselves. So that is a little bit of my history. So today I'm very excited to share this because this is really a subject that is so near and dear to my heart. I am actually also a sleep trainer. This is my work that I do. So I work with moms and dads and parents of all sorts to help to get their babies on age-appropriate routines. So it's as gentle as possible. And then when they are the right age, I actually shift into sleep training and teaching them the tools that they need to get their children to sleep 11 to 12 hours uninterrupted at night, and following an age-appropriate routine. And there's a difference, a routine and a schedule. A schedule is you'll sleep at 9, at 12, and at 4. For me, it is a routine. So they do have, they have a lead, and then you follow their lead with guides. Anyway, that is what I do. And so when these oils worked for me, I naturally shared, because I have so many clients that always come to me and say, okay, all is well and good and wonderful, but my kid just got sick. My child is teething. My kid has colic. How can I work through these things while also sticking to a routine? Because if they're not comfortable or not happy, everything sort of unravels. So I hear this all the time. Well, now I swear to you, I was given the blessing of these essential oils, and I started to teach very differently with my clients and share with them and show them how they can also use these in their homes to feel empowered, because I certainly did, and they absolutely worked for me and my family. So, okay, that is me, a little bit of history. Now I want to just start out by sharing some safety guidelines with you, because yes, when we're working with babies and infants and children, we do need to be quite cautious, and some oils we just want to avoid altogether. I will say that there's a few things that I want to say about this. And so the first thing is, I do think it's important for you guys, and if you see me looking down, it's just I'm trying to stay ahead of our time, and I've made some notes that I want to make sure that I touch on each thing. So I think it is so important that we separate fact from fear. When we're talking about kids, babies, essential oils, sometimes, or a lot of the time, we will read some things. Google can be this wonderful thing and the biggest beast ever. But we read a lot of things that feel very scary. For example, oh my gosh, I put peppermint oil on my 2-year-old and they broke out in a rash. And the first thing that I always, when I see these articles or these things, is I always bring it back to the basics. What oil did they use? That's so important. If you just picked up an oil at Clicks and someone said, oh yeah, peppermint oil is great to bring down a temperature. Had I done that with my little one, I would have written off essential oils, because I wouldn't have done this in an appropriate way. So the first thing is, again, separate fact from fear. So when you see or read any kind of article that is going to, cause a freak out of, oh my gosh, this happened, the first thing to ask is, what oils were they using? The second is, who helped them or advised them? Did they dilute properly? So you must understand that there is a way to use them, but also to not sit in so much fear, like, oh my gosh, I heard that peppermint is not good to use, but I'm just not going to touch it. So you must choose your comfort level as well, okay? So a lot of this is just intuitive and also a family's comfort level. So for me, I felt very empowered, or I guess I did enough research for me that I was willing to use peppermint oil on my 16-month-old, knowing that I'd researched it enough and I was comfortable and it absolutely worked. So I'm very grateful that I did that. But I do want to say to you guys that some of the oils that we do want to avoid altogether or be very cautious with are going to be eucalyptus, basil, juniper, peppermint, hyssop, and wintergreen. So those oils, I would just recommend that with infants, we avoid altogether. With babies, we want to use them with caution. And in general, we say a 1 to 30 or 1 to 50 ratio, meaning 1 drop of essential oil. Sorry, I'm hearing such a strange sound outside, and I know my husband's out there, but I don't know what he's doing. Anyway, okay, so it's 1 drop of essential oil to about 50 drops of your carrier oil. Okay, so 50 drops of your MCT oil. That is kind of the ratio that we want to work with. Another good idea or guideline is when we're dealing with infants or babies, think belly down. So whatever oils we want to use on them, try and do it from their belly down. Now, I do not mean their private parts. I just mean stay away from the face and the nose, because they are more sensitive. And I'm talking like 0 to 6 months. They're definitely, their skin is more sensitive. Everything is more sensitive. So you do want to be pretty good about, you know, keeping the oils, as I say, waist down pretty much. So we can use it like on the lower back, on the belly, and then under the feet. So using oils under our feet are a fantastic way for the body to still get the benefit, because we have the largest pores under our feet, and so do babies. And the awesome thing about doing it this way is it gets fully absorbed into the body. So there will be the benefits of the essential oil, but there won't be the irritant. And we also don't have, you know, baby touching their tummy and then putting their hand by their face. So where we didn't want oils to be there, if that makes sense. So those are some ideas that I have for you about safety guidelines. Another thing that often comes up, you know, because people, again, are reading stuff, or when they're doing research, sometimes we can be derailed and read something that was very scary for us or freaks us out. And so now I've told you what I do recommend that you do, is that you do separate that fact from fear. And the other thinking, or the other thing I want to mention to you, is that there are 3 schools of thought when it comes to essential oil. There's essential oils. There's 3 usage methods, okay? So there is the British school of thought, or the British method, and the British are not concerned much about the growing conditions, okay? So the British focus on just dilute, dilute, dilute. When I say dilute, it means you're using essential oil with a carrier oil. So we're diluting out the essential oil. So their thing is, we're going to use oils mostly topically. We're going to use it on our skin, but we're going to dilute like everything. And there's not much concern, as I said, about how the oil is grown or, you know, distilled. Then we have the German school of thought or method of use, and they focus on inhalation. So they use mostly diffusing. That is their like comfort level, and that is what they focus on. And then we have the French method, school of thought or method of use, and the French method encourages ingestion of some essential oils, not all essential oils, okay? So it is important, the same way that we know that in nature we have something like poison ivy. It's in nature, it's a plant, it's growing, but our skin is not such a fan, okay? And so it's something that we certainly shouldn't be ingesting, let alone touching. So of course there's some plants and things that are poisonous, even though they're natural and in nature. So there is a learning curve to know which oils are safe for ingestion. And the French method states that, or believes that, we can ingest certain oils. Now, Young Living encompasses all 3 of those. So with Young Living, we believe that the essential oils are safe for ingestion, some of them. And I will mention as a side note, but it is important to know this, in South Africa at the moment, it is not okay, it is not compliant to say that our oils are safe for internal use or for consumption, which is upsetting to me, but we're just not there yet in South Africa, so it's okay. Hopefully we will get there. They're actually extremely strict with their labeling laws, and they have something in South Africa called CAMS Act, and it is all about alternative medicines. You guys can look it up. It's CAMS Act, and basically they're just being extremely strict with alternatives to traditional Western medicines. So we have to be very careful how we communicate, how we're using these oils. For example, it's not really compliant for me to say, use peppermint for a headache. I cannot use that language. So instead, I have to say things like, peppermint can support head tension, okay? So some things are a little bit cryptic, and this is why. But what I can tell you and share with you guys as your friend is that we can use some essential oils internally safely. So So we are doing this in the United States, and Young Living has created what's called the Vitality range, which at the moment is not available in South Africa. So you guys will never see the labels that are the white label. And don't worry, and I've done a little video on this, but I'm going to share this with you guys again. In other words, what happened is Young Living actually took our products to the FDA and said, hey, we want you to agree that our oils are safe for internal use. Look at the composition, check out all the things you need to. And the FDA said, which is the Federal Drug Administration in the United States, said, yes, we actually agree that these oils are safe for internal use. These 47 or 48 oils, that's what we have that are safe for internal use. And they said, but you cannot have one label stating all three methods of use. So you cannot put on one label that this is safe for aromatic use, topical use, and internal use. And therefore, you need to relabel the ones that are safe for internal use. So Young Living created the Vitality line. So they made labels that are white for the safe to ingest oils. However, the Vitality lemon essential oil and the lemon essential oil that has got the label that you guys are all getting, that's actually yellow, are exactly the same oil inside. So I'm just grabbing my South Africa starter kit here. So these oils are exactly the same. So I don't want you to worry if you have this bottle and then you read some recipe or something and it says lavender vitality in this capsule that you're making, and you're like, oh, I only have this lavender and it's not the vitality. What do I do? I say to you that once you know what is safe for internal use, you can then be rest assured that whichever bottle you have is exactly the same thing. So lavender is lavender is lavender, okay? And just some other little interesting thing, but the safe for internal use oils are, they will never put a Vitality label, by the way, on a 15 ml bottle size. So that was another thing that the FDA refused to allow, on the off chance that someone decided, oh, I feel like drinking a 15 ml bottle of lemon. Not the best idea, okay? Not smart. So they felt that this was a safety measure that they could take. All right, so I wanted to cover all of that. That's kind of the main things on safety that I wanted to share with you. The other things, well, there's a few more. The other things are dilution, and I've touched on that already a little bit. But the most important thing is when we're dealing with babies and children is we are diluting these essential oils. So it's going to be quite rare that we're going to use an essential oil neat on a baby. And when I use the term neat, it means undiluted. It means that I took lavender like this and, I dropped a drop on my baby's belly. So that's very doubtful. I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to put like a drop in my hand, usually add about a tablespoon of a carrier oil. So I can use MCT oil, or I can use a coconut oil that I find in my kitchen. Coconut oil is beautiful for babies, really nice for a baby's skin. So grab yourself some of the hard-pressed kind as well. So in terms of what things do you want or need in your house outside of your essential oil kit, is you definitely want to grab some hard-pressed coconut oil. This is the kind where it's going to go hard when it's cold and it's going to liquefy when it is hot and warm outside. MCT oil is like a variation of coconut oil. So that's going to be the next best, easiest one. And that's going to be the carrier oil that we're going to use when we're making roller bottles, like Delray showed you, because we want to keep that in a liquid state all the time. If I were to put this coconut oil that is going to change with the temperature, it's going to clog and get stuck in my carrier oil bottle. So we always use a liquid carrier oil when I'm making a roller bottle. And the reason that I personally prefer MCT oil as my carrier oil of choice is it doesn't have a fragrance, okay? So if you ran out or you didn't have something, or your baby suddenly was having colic or diarrhea or some issue and you ran out of stuff, then what you can do is use your olive oil in the kitchen or your grapeseed oil. So it does have a bit of a smell, which is fine. It smells like olive oil and it smells like grapeseed oil, but it's not going to be harmful at all. I would much rather you use the carrier oil that's not like the MCT oil than not using a carrier oil. So you must use a carrier oil. In general, we say that the ratios with most oils we're going to use for babies is 1 to 50 in infants. So 0 to 6 months is going to be 1 drop of essential oil to 50 drops of carrier oil. And that's roughly like 1 to 2 tablespoons of the carrier oil, if I had to like measure it like that. As they get older, 6 months on, you can do like a 1 to 30 dilution. And again, we're all different, right? So there's comfort levels here as well as baby sensitivity. So if you already know, there's like allergies that me and my husband have, and I have super sensitive skin, I'll probably be more cautious and just over dilute before I start to feel a little bit more confident. So please just dilute appropriately until you are at your comfort level with them. The other thing is, if essential oils are very new to you and your family, over dilute. We always say when you're getting started, you know, start slow and go low, like use very few drops and rather over dilute, or, you know, put 1 or 2 drops in the diffuser instead of 5 drops that the recipe might show. So whatever a recipe is showing you, even for you, by the way, outside of kids, for the first like 2 weeks to a month of using essential oils, I really recommend when diffusing to do about 1/3 of what any recipe is saying to you. So if they're saying 6 drops, you know, put 2 drops, okay, in a diffuser. All right,